Speaking of,
yeah.
Brett Kavanaugh.
Yes, interesting that you would bring that up.
Isn't it?
I have a list.
To drink.
I have a list
What
of
do you
all
like?
of his lies.
Oh, cool.
I have a list of all of his lies.
Yeah, do that. I want that. Go on then.
Yeah, say what you were going to say. Like Brett Kavanaugh, what?
I don't know. How many times have you blacked out? Have you blacked out? I don't know. I mean, just like Mr. Deflection, Mr. Not Answer the Question, Mr. Fake Tears.
How is that even possible that anyone would tolerate that?
Or like not see through it. Like, I mean, honestly, this guy is a complete wreck. And you want him as a...
Even the Democrats, right? Like,
yeah.
Why would they just sit there and take it?
I know.
As if it was okay that he was doing any of that stuff.
I know.
Like the idea that if it was, I mean, I've heard this a few times. If this was a woman,
yeah,
and she started yelling and crying and accusing people of conspiracies, like she would probably be handcuffed and escorted out of the room.
Yeah,
like this woman is hysterical. Get her out of here. But no, not this guy. So
it's just such a shit show, this country at the moment, man. It's just such a shit show.
So the first lie, that he told was that no president has ever consulted more widely or talked with more people from more backgrounds to seek input about a Supreme Court nomination. That's how he introduced himself in the first hearing.
Okay.
But that's not true at all. Like that makes no sense. There have been many presidents who have consulted many more people from much wider backgrounds to seek input about a Supreme Court nomination. Like it just, even if you didn't know it was a lie, you would guess that that's probably not true. Because look at the president. First of all, like that guy didn't consult with anybody.
China loves me. They love the size of my brain. They love my big brain. They love it.
He's a very stable genius.
My God.
So the other, it's interesting because the other candidate, the guy who actually got on the court, Neil Gorsuch, he didn't act like that at all. Like,
right.
A lot of people didn't like his points of view or politics or the decisions that he made as a judge, but he was very normal and respectful. And, I think,
didn't have skeletons in his closet?
Apparently not, because I'm sure that people were looking. Why wouldn't they?
Sure.
Right? So I think this one can be filed under come the fuck on. Like, give me a fucking break. All right.
Okay, but let's just talk about this for a second, politically, because this is a total destruction of the Republican Party, right? I mean, or not. I don't know.
Well, it's turned into something else at the very least. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
How can it... Every time I think of a question, my brain explodes.
I know. I know. It's like a million questions, fragmented. I know. It's like, it's...
So he said this under oath, okay? He said,
okay,
I grew up in a city plagued by gun violence and gang violence and drug violence.
Okay.
Brett Kavanaugh. He's claiming that he grew up in a city plagued by violence all around him.
Yeah. Where'd he grow up?
Well, he grew up in Washington, D.C., but he did not grow up in the part of Washington, D.C. that was plagued by any of this stuff. He grew up behind country club walls and gates. And and very exclusive neighborhoods, and
right.
His I forget which one it was, but his mother was a judge or lobbyist, and his father was a judge.
Right. You don't
that
get
was another
any more
thing.
elite
He claimed
than
that he'd had no connection with
to Yale. Yeah.
Which is obviously not true.
Yeah. Complete Yale boy.
So by saying this, he's saying that he's had personal familiarity with this gun violence issue in Washington D.C. It's not a very nice place. Like large parts of it, it's filled with black people, right?
Yeah.
Like that. And he's making all these assertions and being very subtly racist at the same time by saying this stuff, because he knows the associations that people are going to make when he makes these claims. So it's just ridiculous. It's like absolutely ridiculous.
Oh dear.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand what's going on.
Like I wouldn't want an emotional judge anyway. Like someone who falls apart like that under pressure anyway. Regardless of everything else. He's clearly not emotionally stable. He's a complete alcoholic. He's exactly who we all despise. He's one of those 1%ers. He grew up that way.
Right. It would have been so much nicer if he would have stayed in obscurity and no one ever knew who this guy was, unless they happened to be in front of him at the circuit court in Washington D.C. or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other crazy thing. He's already a judge on basically the second most powerful court in the country already.
Yeah, the justice system is complete mess, man. The justice system is full of fucking crooks and villains. All of them.
He's the guy who denied the 17-year-old immigrant girl an abortion and tried to wait it out, basically.
Yeah.
These delays so that she wouldn't be able to make the decision to not have the kid.
Yeah, I know.
That's who this guy is. That's just,
I know.
Incredibly bad.
It's just horrendous, man. The whole thing's so horrendous. Do you think the FBI is going to find anything? And how do you think the response is going to be to that?
I think that's a good question. I think that there should be another hearing, though, and they should re-nail him on the stuff that they do find. Which, I guess that's going to be another firestorm of fake Republican outrage, though.
Absolutely, yeah. And psychological warfare that's going on in this country. It's a cold civil war,
Yeah, right. It's interesting. All the talk of a few months ago about the civil war is coming. Well, maybe it is, or maybe it's here. Maybe this is it. It just looks like it's slow motion, or as you said, a cold civil war.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept.
Well, it's just lack of ability of the general population to actually discern truth, and only to sort of side with party and ideals.
Right. I mean, and there's all this other little weird, minutia stuff that he could have easily admitted to,
yeah,
all of it, all of the yearbook stuff, which are so ridiculous,
the Devil's Triangle,
the Renata thing,
which isn't a drinking game. It's a fucking thing between two guys and one girl, and let's get that straight.
Right, and it's not gay unless you make eye contact.
It's just incredibly, like, ritualistically sort of, like, typical of what those guys do, you know?
See, I think that I think a lot of these senators were afraid to touch these things because they knew exactly what that stuff was. And
of course.
And they didn't want anything, you know, in the future to come up about them and what they might have done along the same lines.
I mean, I'd never heard of the Devil's Triangle before. And
No,
I'm kind of like I'm considered like pretty versed in like, you know, doing sort of off-color things in my life. I mean, fuck, I've smoked, you know, some unknown chemicals out of some unknown sort of like vessels before.
In college.
I've in college, and I've stayed in some pretty interesting motels in my time. But I mean, this is really something new to me. Devil's Triangle.
Yeah.
Ooh. And boofing.
And the whole popularity of boofing, like, you know, my understanding where that's a thing is really restricted to people who are trying to get drugs into prison.
Yeah.
That's the only real reference I know.
Well, you know that he grew up in this, you know, very violent city that was plagued with gangs and violence. So,
right.
You know, maybe he learned some prison culture there, you know?
Right. The brothers on the street talking about boofing.
Yeah, he went out and learned how to boof from the brothers on the street.
Yes. One that I really liked, the question he was asked is, he asked about whether or not he'd ever blacked out from drinking, and he said, no, but I've gone to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Come on, man. And they didn't press him on it. I guess part of it was the weird 5-minute thing, but
yeah,
I think that could have been much better coordinated.
Of course.
Where they just like fire one after another, like in succession, these questions at him, and forget all the speechifying, and just keep hitting those same things and make him like lose it, you know?
Yeah.
Right, like make him blow up, make him like flip the table over or something. Like,
but what you're talking about is more of an interrogation. This just didn't seem like that to me. This just seemed like a public, well, we're gonna show you a few things and kind of make a mockery because, you know, this is a political show. You know,
right.
It's a shit show. It's a power move for the Democrats as much as it is for a power move for the Republicans, you know.
Exactly. So there was one thing I learned about the FBI investigation that may bear some fruit, and it's the second woman, who Deborah Ramirez, who claims that he exposed herself to her at a Yale dorm room party.
Yeah.
And she had to touch his junk to push him away. So
the dick in the box. Hey. The dick in the box. Hey.
I wonder if that was the inspiration for that.
Probably.
So she went public in late September, just a couple of weeks ago, and Kavanaugh claims that that's when he first heard about it, when it was published in the New Yorker. But back in July, before this allegation had gone public, friends of his friends of his were getting emails regarding keeping this quiet, like before.
Man,
like, these people, you know, it gets deeper. These people really knew about all of this stuff way before, and just were trying to sit on it because it would be a lot easier to push back if he was already confirmed to the court, because then he'd already be there, and you know he'd be at a much greater advantage to and just knock all this stuff down because he's already there. I think that's the whole game plan. Get him on the court and then deal with this stuff. But it didn't quite work out that way. And I just hope that, I think that what you were talking about, the Republicans just destroying themselves is happening. And the only way that, one of the only ways that could be slowed down, I guess, is that if Trump dumped this guy and just decided to pick somebody else.
A girl.
I think they're
He's
too
against abortion. Yeah.
But I think they're
female.
too far down the road to do that now because it would look really weak.
Right. They've already invested. Yeah.
Yeah. So I never vote in midterm elections. I don't think I ever have. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
I'm definitely voting this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking about registering.
I think part of the reason that really kind of solidified that for me was the whole elevator episode with the two women yelling at the senator Flake.
Yeah.
Who, because he had already, what happened is he put out a statement saying that he was going to vote yes. And these two women happen to have seen it as he was going into the senator's elevator, and they held the door open and demanded that he listen to them. I think if it wasn't for that, these two people, making these statements, that things would be different. And it made me realize that one person, this one senator, he on his own really kind of made a difference. These two women on their own really kind of made an impact,
Yeah.
One person can make a difference, and I think that's probably the silver lining to all this, is that maybe, and I know this is a lot of wishful thinking really, but maybe people waking up just a little bit could help, a little bit. I don't know.
I just don't. Here's the thing for me, okay? To get into the position where you get elected anyway, you're already bought and sold. It's this whole thing to me is ridiculous. I don't want to partake in it.
Right.
And I'm sorry. And I hope you guys can figure out a way to get some good people in there, but I don't believe in it. I think that, this whole thing was horrendous, and this poor woman was brought up in front of these people and had to recount this horrendous episode with this horrendous fucking drunk guy when she was in college, trying to just study, trying to have a future. Yeah, high school, sorry, my fault. Yeah. Just trying to be a kid in high school. And
right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. And I feel like the Democrats are equally as guilty of bringing this woman up and kind of, using her as a pawn in this whole thing, as the Republicans are of voting for this fucking evil piece of shit.
Right. Yeah.
So
exactly.
I can't partake in this anymore. I can't be a part of it.
Well, you kind of can't help it.
Never have.
That's the problem.
No, I
right?
know.
I mean, you know what I mean?
I know.
The idea of getting, it's funny because this is almost exactly the same argument that people had regarding Trump. Get people who are unfamiliar with politics, are first timers, aren't corrupted, That's a little far-fetched, but you know what I mean? Like a fresh batch, so to speak, who, and, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that works. I don't know if the system itself is so corrupted that it doesn't matter who's sitting there.
Yeah.
Because they'll immediately have to fall in line with the regular, way things are, you know, have always been, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.